Well, welcome to Thursday night Up on the Bars discussion. I'm Roy Bain, and we have our special guest tonight, Mark Garner, out of the Antioch area. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Thank you. How you doing?
Doing good. So you and Mark have been talking for about 2 months. I haven't even get on here, so it's awesome that we finally got it going. Michael Colson already checking in. Good evening. Hey, how you doing? Before we get started, I want to mention some stuff because we were talking about it off air. Myself and Jay Bryant came together. We started a new streaming service out here on the West Coast. You see our logo up there, Speed Union TV. We're going to be covering all the races with the Tri-State Pro Stock this year, along with Southern Oregon Speedway, Siskiyou Golden Speedway, and then we'll periodically have Willamette Speedway on there as well. Currently, we are running a introductory rate for anybody that wants to come on. We have a couple of promo codes. You can see them all over there. We for Siskiyou Golden Speedway, it's SGS1. For Southern Oregon Speedway, it's SOS1. And for the Tri-State Pro Stocks, it's just Tri-State. When you go in there to purchase it, enter those codes on your checkout thing, and it will give you 40% off for the year rate. Our normal year rate is $199, and we're offering it right now for $119. So it's a smoking deal. This is a new adventure, so I hope everybody hops in and takes advantage of this because it's a new streaming service, and we're hoping to expand out here and start covering some races out on the West Coast that get overlooked by some of the major streaming platforms. So it's definitely something I'm extremely looking forward to getting started. Also, for all the Tri-State Pro Stock guys, I want to clarify a couple of things. We were scheduled to race in Chico in March. The management that took over the track there has decided that they want to keep their shows down to the 3-hour mark, and they scheduled us for the Gold Cup race. And with Brad Sweet and Kyle Larson taking over, they're expecting a huge contingent of sprint cars there that weekend. So they've decided not to run us that weekend. We are communicating with them and hoping to make it up during that time frame, but March 5th is off for Chico. And once we get everything worked out, the schedule will be updated on the Facebook page. Second thing is February 5th, and I know Mark and I were just talking about Tony Nassetti at Stockton. Stockton is running the race February 5th. On their schedule, they have Tri-State Pro Stocks. We want to encourage as many of y'all to go out and support Tony's racetrack as at all possible. We are not classifying that as a points race. We wanted to have everybody to have a little bit of a time to get their cars ready for March. We're kicking off in March at Petaluma. But please, if your cars are ready and everything, go out, support Tony's racing at Stockton Dirt Track. And Mark will tell you right here, right now, Tony is probably one of the best promoters on the West Coast, probably one of the most stand-up promoters on the West Coast. And I guarantee you the payouts will not be, you will not be disappointed in any kind of payout that is offered at Stockton Dirt Track.
Not at all. He's a good dude.
Yes, absolutely. And we want to support Tony as much as we can because Tony has helped build up the Tri-State from day one. We support him. We support everything that he does. So definitely get out there and support Tony. He's going to be running A mods, B mods, super late models, dwarf cars, bombers, and pro stocks that night. So it is going to be a great show, and it is going to be our first stream with Speed Union TV. We're offering that as a one-time race to buy for $19.99. So you can purchase just that race to see what we're doing. We're planning on running a special about probably the first half hour of racing. We're going to give that to everybody free so you can take a look and see what we're doing. We'll stream it over Facebook and through all of that stuff. Jay has came on board and certainly made the equipment we have is much better than what Flo's running right now. We made sure to step up and get extremely good quality equipment for this. So it's going to be an awesome facility. So with all that housekeeping done, let's hop in and talk to Mark Garner. I have to tell you, I met Mark. I can't remember exactly when it was. He refreshed my memory this morning. I think we met all the way back up in Medford quite a while ago.
It's a lawn
So
Skinner race, I believe it was.
yeah. No, it's the I don't think it was Lon Skinner. It was R. Charles Memorial. It
Or
was
R.
the
Charles, yes.
R. Charles Snyder Memorial. Yes. Um, I didn't know Mark really well. Mark came up to me. He was talking to me. It was very memorable. We're not going to talk why, but there was a tragedy at the track that night. So, and then I met him again. I think at Stockton the first time we ran down there with the pro stocks. Mark's one of those guys. If you ever get a chance to be around him, shake his hand because you'll be an instant friend with Mark. And I don't think I'm wrong on that.
No, not at all.
So, and then Mark over the last couple of years has had some personal hardship in his life, and I know that's one of the things that he wanted to get into and talk about tonight. So I'm going to turn it over to Mark and let him tell you about his dad and his dad's passion for racing and what's brought him to this point.
Yeah, absolutely. I wouldn't say it's a hardship. Unfortunate. I mean, I lost my dad way too early. My dad's the one that got me into racing, and seeing all the success that he had on a shoestring budget. I mean, him and Jerry Hetrick used to build motors in the garage, and they'd find bearings on the floor that looked better than what was in the motor, and they'd put a motor together with it. And he won a lot of races. Won the championship in 1969, the state championship. I think he ran Antioch, Petaluma, and Merced, maybe. I think those are the 3 tracks that he ran. And he finished second at all 3 tracks, or 2 seconds and a third, I think, and ended up getting him the state title. He's always been one of my biggest fans. I know that. I mean, the pictures on that you put up of he'd come down the shop on a Friday and make sure everything was done on the car and make sure we had everything that we needed. And he's would always sit in the stands. I'd see him as soon as I came on the track. So the last few years since he passed away, it's kind of a little void. Then going down the front stretch and, mud packing or what have you, and not seeing him up there, wave to me or tell me to go or anything like that. But it's bearable. You'll never get over it, but it's tolerable, and you just learn to live with it.
Yep. Well, and there's already a lot of people saying hi to you on here tonight. I can't see everybody's name, but we got, hey there, Mark. Hey, guys. Ron Fudge said awesome. Joe Peterson, hey, Mark. Harvey Balestrini Jr., hello, Mark. Hope you're planning on running some tri-state races. Then we got something. Mr. Maverick, he was the greatest. Mark is always and has been one of the good guys in racing community. Good racer, clean racer, and always helping hand to the new kids. Kudos. So I had to scroll through about 30, or I think we got this going out to about like 8 pages of stuff that's going out. So I had to scroll through everyone to catch and see. It's Davey Boy that said, hey, guys, that's Davey Munoz. So, there you go. So we're not seeing all the names pop up. So if I don't recognize you by your name, sorry, I don't see everybody's name, but I want to make sure we get the comments out there. I'll tell you, Mark we first tripped down to Antioch. He was one of the first guys that came over. Hey, how you doing? Glad you're here. Rolled it out. And I rolled into Antioch. I didn't even know where Antioch Speedway was. I had to put it in the damn GPS. I didn't know I was going the right way and all that stuff. And then Browntown in the house.
Ryan Brown.
Yep. So I have to tell y'all, if y'all haven't ever been to Antioch, about 4 blocks down the street from the track is a Wiener Schnitzel. Got to tell you, the last time we were there, made a trip in there on the way in and a trip there on the way out. So
if you keep going down past Wiener Schnitzel, you run right into Maxwell House.
That's right.
Great food,
so,
great drinks.
Yeah, and Loran, very excited about you guys being a part of Willamette Speedway, Lebanon, Oregon. Absolutely. Don Martin, I was having a discussion with Don before we came on here. He said, y'all used to ride bikes all over in the neighborhood and all that stuff. So
absolutely. He was at my parents' house all the time.
Yeah. And here you go. It says, Jerry was a good man, always treated me good. So there you go. So I know Don from up there at Southern Oregon Speedway, and that's my pit crewman, Dwayne Southby, says, like your hat, Roy. I'm going to tell y'all a quick story about Dwayne. He, if y'all met him, he's hearing impaired, to draw attention to it. And I happen to actually figure out that we have closed captioning on our stream. If you turn your phone down all the way, you actually have closed captioning. it made me look like I knew what I was doing when he calls me. Oh man, the closed captioning and all this. Dude, I don't even know what I did. I'm just glad it's on there. So it's kind of cool. So
Nice.
yeah, if you see Dwayne with us at the track this summer, flick him a little crap. He's a good dude and has a pretty good sense of humor. Loves racing. So all right. So Mark, what are your plans this year? Tell us a little bit about your plans this year, because I know you've been posting some stuff up on Facebook. That's pretty awesome.
We're been doing some work on my son's car. He sold his hobby stock. Wanted to run sport mod, so he's got my old 2015 BMS. And so we're getting his pretty close. We got to weld a couple bars into it. I crashed it pretty good and kind of gave him my junk, and we fixed it, and now it'll be a good car. So we're just doing that with him. I got a brand new car. So we're in the process of putting that together. It's actually it's over at Chester and Beverly Nissa's house. Delta transmission, Delta driveline. Buddy's actually been putting the car together. Him and Jeff Brown, Tyler Brown, they've been over there working on it. I've seen a couple of pictures of it. I know the cockpit's in. I know the front suspension's on it. Buddy's been doing a pretty good job with the cars, getting them together. Working his butt off, getting stuff done.
And I love the color of it. I don't know what that color is. I know it's silver, but I know there's a specific color. So it's cool. I
call it sparkly gray. I don't know if Buddy or Chet are on here, they'll tell you exactly what the color is. I have no clue. It looks good. I picked it out and I said, I want that one.
Yeah, honestly, it's kind of a gunmetal gray is the best way to say in the pictures. I don't know what it looks like in person, but it's
real shiny. It's real shiny in person. So it looks pretty good.
All right. So tell, and I don't know if you want to share, but you want to tell us what brand of car it is, because
it's a 2022 GRT.
Yep. And the reason why I asked that is I joined Team GRT once we get my car done. It's a GRT. Right. So I'm kind of excited about that, which going to lead us into one of our first commercial breaks of the night. And I'm going to do it for Brian Drager at Drager Performance. They're the West Coast GRT guys out here. So want to give them a big shout out. They're the ones that updated my car and got everything ready. So here we go.
I would like to welcome one of our newest sponsors to the show, Drager Performance. Drager Performance is a family-owned race and fabrication shop located in Albany, Oregon. They are the official Northwest GRT race car dealer and the only authorized GRT repair facility on the West Coast. Whether you're in the market for a couple of parts, a complete car, some fabrication work, make Drager Performance your first call.
So there we go. So got to make sure we cover the sponsors with everything that they do with us, and they done a lot with my car getting it ready to go. I just got a message. It sounds like gunmetal gray metallic. So I'm sure that's one of the Nissas. So.
That's either Chad or Buddy or Beverly. I don't know, one of those three.
I got to tell you, I met them in Vegas at Brian Littleton's Race Logic Chassis School. I met them. We were all in the same chassis school out in Vegas, so I got to know them there. So the BMS that you said you gave it to your son, is that the one I've seen you racing the last little bit?
Yeah, we ran it in Stockton. We took it to Vegas. We ran that car for 2 years. It's a good car. I had the opportunity to get a 2000, I think it was a 12 or a 13 BM or GRT from Bobby Montalvo. He bought a brand new car, and that one was wrecked. And he goes, "What are you doing?" I said, "I have no idea. I don't know what's going to happen right now." And he goes, "I'll tell you what." He goes, "Get this car here together, race it, and have fun with it." And so we did, and it was a good car to us. Something different than what I was used to as far as setup wise, and just getting the car to go around the track better than it did with the BMS.
Right. So now let me ask you a question. Do you have a preference in chassis between the BMS and the GRT, or do you have a lot of experience with all the different ones or not?
No, I've only had two. Actually, I take that back. I've had my first race car was a Flexi Flyer that my uncle Alan Ontario built up in Gray Harbor. I don't know if that's the right name, but up in Oregon, way up close to Washington.
Harbor,
yeah. He built the car for me in 90, I think it was 94. My buddy Chris and I drove up, picked it up, came home. My dad and Rick Bollinger built the car for me. It was a sled. It was heavy as all get out. But I learned in it and I had fun and I wrecked it and did good. I never won a main event in that car. Won a couple of heat races. I think I finished second or third in the B mains a couple times with it my first few years racing. And then in 98, I got a Cobra chassis from Jimmy Reed and Bart Reed. We kind of pissed them off because we cut the back off. It was a bar car. We cut it off and put leaf springs under it. And it was fast. It was good. We won a lot of main events with it. Top 5 in points, won main events in Chowchilla. Wherever we went, it was a top running car and we had fun with it and I learned a lot with it. And then I got into a bar car and it was total ass backwards from anything that I've ever driven. And I remember the first car that I got, there's a limited late model. Let me back up a little bit. So I started racing in 95, got out of racing in 2001, not 2002. I drove a couple of times in 2002. My dad sold everything. I got to raise my kids and it was fun. I enjoyed it. Baseball games, this and that. So I didn't race until 2013 and Chet and Beverly, which that's another little story. I'll finish that in a second. But Chet says, hey, he goes, I got this car in my field. He goes, why don't you come and get it and go race it? I'm like, I ain't racing no more. I'm done. And I talked to my dad and my dad goes, the kids are getting older. He goes, why not get back into it? So we did. And we did pretty well with it and finished top 5 the first 2 years we ran it. And then in 2014, we got the bar car. And I came in the first time running it, hot lapped it, came in. I told Chet, I says, man, let's cut the back of this car off, put leaf springs under it because this thing's junk. It's not fast. And he goes, you're pretty quick out there, man. He goes, I'd think about it and just run it for a couple of weeks and see what happens. And I'm like, all right. So won a couple main events in 14, come out in 2015. Won a lot of races at Merced, won a lot of races at Antioch, ended up winning the championship in Merced. Lost my dad September of 2015 to cancer and kind of didn't really race a lot after that. I mean, we did, but not like every week like we used to. Get into one main events in 16, 17, and then we ended up winning the championship in 18 at Antioch at my dad's home track because he never won a championship there. He never won a track championship. So we got to do that. Had a blast. I mean, racing, the competition was good. I mean, me and Kimo, I think the last night, me and Kimo went into the championship night and I think there was 2 points difference. And the week before that, I finished second behind Mike Stopson. So I started front row outside and I didn't see anybody. I mean, we led all 25 laps and it was pretty fun. I enjoyed it.
Yep. Well, and not to distract you here, but Michael Birch, hello, Roy. Hello, Mark. Now, Rob Waldrop shared this comment. I'm seeing him come up on there. Said his dad scared the shit out of me when we went fishing. Just ask Mark.
Yeah, that was I don't think I'll ever forget that. Or Robbie will ever forget that. That was a pretty good time. We went fishing in my dad's old 78 brown Chevy truck. Had a 60 over 327 in it, and it was a runner. And we went on the Levee Road, and my dad went to turn around, and he pulled in this guy's driveway, and me and Robbie were like, Dad, don't do that. The guy's standing right there. And my dad just said that he was going to do it. So this guy literally picked up probably a 6-foot log, and he threw it at the truck. And Robbie was sitting in the middle, and my dad the gear shifter was it was 3 on the tree. So my dad backed out of the driveway and he took off hauling ass down the Levee Road, and Robbie's sitting in the middle with his arm around both of us. And he goes, just don't let me die, Jerry. Please don't let me die. And I don't think we'll ever forget that. He was so scared. And meantime, the whole time my dad had a cigarette in his hand, and he was just driving and smoking like it was an ordinary day. And it was pretty cool.
Yeah. See stories like that. Those are all awesome. And then Scott Compton, and sorry guys, if I don't know you, we may have met or whatever, said Sheepish Mark still has one of Steve Hendren's old late models. I just had Steve on the show not too long ago, and we talked about that. Said, yeah, I know who's got I said, I know where your old car's at sitting at Antioch. I've heard all about that. I know they were trying to get set up for him to drive that when he was out there for Hall of Fame night or whatever.
Yeah, it was, after we won the championship in 18, we kind of just took the motor out of it, and it's still sitting the same way it was. We took it off the track. Still has mud on it. Sits on the little brake lift we have in the back of the shop. And I've had people that want to buy it, and it's just, I'll probably never sell it. I mean, I'll hang on to it, and if my kids want to do something with it later on, they can. It's just more, I got a lot of good memories with my dad in that car. I mean, just with him being around us and And yeah, just a lot of good memories, a lot of wins in that car. I mean, we won the Larry DeMitz race. I mean, the only 2 times they had it with the limiteds, we won it both times, and that was pretty cool. It's something I'll never forget. I know that.
So, well, and I did something for you tonight, and not talking. I know you always have a little purple on your car, so we put all the banners in on here tonight for you at purple, because I remember talking to you about that over at Antioch. So, Ronald Brown, Jerry had the first wrap years ago. So, yeah, and it's kind of interesting. You're talking about the Brown family. Danica Garrettson has one of the Brown family cars over there in Nevada, which used to belong to somebody that raced there at Antioch. And
Lori.
Steve Hendrick talked about her specifically during the show. And I don't know the Antioch history, so I apologize, guys. I'm originally from New Mexico. I missed out on all the big years of racing. So when I don't know people, I apologize. I know I should know them, but I don't. So, but I know he talked about the story with them, and I know Ron's wife commented on there about that when Johnny Garrettson drove it. That was the first guy that ever drove that car ever. Just talking about what they drove at Placerville. So,
yeah, the car that Lori had was that was I believe Kimberly Myers' car, and Lori had it. Ron had it first, I believe. Won a bunch of races in it. Then Lori got it. She won a championship in it and a bunch of races. And then when the class started kind of going away, she sold it. But I mean, I've had some great battles with Lori, and I mean, she's a hell of a driver. And if you piss her off, she drives even harder. So that's a good thing.
Well, Richard Quadrelli chimed in and said that car came from a girl named Kimberly Myers, correct? And everybody always refers to it as the Four Roses car. Everywhere I go, they referred it to that. And
65 Roses.
Yep, I'm a huge fan of Danica. So the car 65 Roses was originally Bobby Scott's late model, then Kimberly Myers' late model.
Yes.
Then it went to Roy and Lori Brown, and now Danica Garrettson has it. And so it supported some of the tri-state races. So it's cool when you got something in there that you can talk about, like Steve Hendren's car with you and those cars. That's always really cool. And Don said, I got to be there to see Mark wrap up the championships, said it's a fond memory of his time. Troy and Kim Bernhardt, is Pappenhausen still racing? Just curious. I can answer that. We saw him not too long ago in Susanville. I want to say running a late model, maybe. No, that wasn't him. Is Richard Pappenhausen still racing?
I think he's running. I think he has his modified. I know they still have the late mod. I don't know if he drives that still or not, but I believe he still has his A mod.
If we're friends on Facebook, I should probably reach out and ask him one of these days, because I know he's another big name. So I wish I could come up with all the answers on all that stuff. His mom is an awesome lady. I'm assuming that's your mom there, Mark. So that's from Rob Waldrop. So,
yep.
But anyway, so what are your plans on this year? What are you planning on running? I know you got your new car. What are you planning on doing this year as far as your racing goes?
It's kind of depending on what my son wants to do. He wants to run a full season. He hasn't been able to do it. And last year he was working out of state. He's actually got a new job now. He works over at All Spec Sheet Metal with Todd Gomez. So he loves his job, loves Todd. Todd's a good dude, one of my big supporters. Got his name on my car all the time. Just a stand-up guy.
Yeah.
So like I said, whatever my son wants to do, it's him. If he wants to travel a little bit, if he wants to stay at Antioch, it's all kind of up in the air. We don't know what's going to happen. I think Antioch's got either 12 or 13 races for us. So, we might do a little camping. We might do a lot of racing. We just haven't decided yet.
Yeah. Well, and that's kind of being on the promotion side and doing that stuff. We hate to see when people get in that stage, but we're starting to see a lot of the drivers that are kind of, I would say, our era, because I think we're pretty close in the same age, getting at that stage where it's like, well, I got family stuff I want to go do, or we can go racing, and family stuff wins out a lot, and that sucks, because we always want to see everybody at the racetrack, because it's a big old family affair when we go there. And that's why I said we're getting to have you come on and talk tonight. We talked about it quite a bit. You're one of the people that's always got something positive to say at the track. Even if you're having a shitty day, you got something positive to say.
And I get the luxury to go out there and drive a race car and have fun. Might not drive it the best I should, but I have a great time every time I get in the car.
Yeah, and I will tell you the other side of Mark too, because we can get into discussion and all that. If Mark has something to say, you're going to hear what Mark has to say one way or another.
Yeah, I get that from my mom.
I don't think I'm wrong on that, am I?
No, my mom's a little Portuguese woman, and she's not the quietest. Her or my sister. My sister's a loudmouth, but she's probably one of my biggest fans. And yeah, I talk to her every night, and she lives in Washington, so she's not home. She comes home for the summertime. We try to race as much as we can when she's down.
Right.
Yeah, she's just my whole family's loud. I think that's just how we were brought up, and the chill time, I guess, is when we're sleeping, so nobody can hear us.
Well, and I laugh at your videos all the time. I didn't know. One of these times when I'm down there, we're going to go play golf. I haven't played golf in quite some time, but I know you go all the time. So I have to ask, do you play golf to drink, or do you drink to play golf? That's all I want to know.
I don't even have to bring my golf clubs. I'll have a good time. I'll be good.
So, well, I'm going to tell a little story. When I was recruiting in upstate New York, it was up at Canandaigua, and all the guys up there golfed that were in the office. I've never played golf in my life. Don't know squat about golf. Well, number one, dude, I'm from the South, and here we are in like way upstate Finger Lakes, New York, where you're less than an hour from Watkins Glen. I mean, this is like real. It's culture shock to start with. So they're like, all right, well, let's go play golf. So I was like, all right. And they said, we'll meet here Saturday morning. So I go rolling up in there. Well, dude, I got a cow print baseball cap on. It's like the Holstein cow print hat, an old feed store windbreaker jacket, and cowboy boots walking into this. And they all meet me. And the guys standing at the counter at the pro shop looking at me like, what the hell just walked in the door? They're like, oh, he's not from here. It's okay. He's never played. So it's like, okay. Then they tell me, oh, there's dress codes and all this stuff. Well, I went anywhere in that dress code. And you go out the pro shop, and the first hole you tee up right outside the gate is big old pond of water, and then onto the fairway. Dude, 3 sleeves of balls into the water. Finally, it's like, we're just going to start on the other side because I'm not getting across the water anytime today. So, but, it's one of those things I got hooked into it instantly, because when you make that one really good tee off or really good putt, or you're hooked for life. I don't care that it's just like
you're ready to go on the PGA Tour. You hit that good ball. You're like, oh, I'm ready.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like racing. Once you're in, you can't get out. I'm sorry, you just can't.
Yeah, my son Brody, he's always been a baseball player. He didn't really golf when he was playing ball. And he kept saying, Dad, I want to golf. I'm like, not until you're done with baseball, because you're going to get 2 different swings. And so finally he was finished with college ball, and he decides he wants to go out and golf. So he's hitting him in the water. He's hitting him in the driving range, hitting the golf cart. He's all over the place, and he's gotten a lot better now. But yeah, he's just funny. He's funny when he golfs, but he loves it. We all love it.
Well, yeah, I'm a horrible golfer, but I love to go out there. It's fun to just go out and hang out and BS with everybody doing that. And being in the military, we always got specials. Like at one of the golf courses, we got basically a season pass there and a golf cart, and they charged us $100 for it.
Oh wow!
Well, okay, we don't know that, and at the end of it, and then everybody's explaining it, it's like, dude, it's usually $100 just to go play a round of golf at the golf course. So it's like, oh shit, didn't know that. And we got it's like, wow, that's actually kind of cool. So, but anyway, I'm going to run another commercial here. We have lots of great sponsors joining in. We're going to run one for Rick Workman at Workman's Community.
Tired of calling multiple companies to complete your low voltage projects? Minimize the hassle by calling Workman Communications, your locally owned one-stop shop for all low voltage needs. We tackle everything from commercial and residential data, telephone cabling to access control installation, CCTV, alarms, and audio-video solutions. With no job too big or too small, we'll ensure your project will be completed to your standards with precision quality results. Let's start a new project together.
Yeah, Tim Pato says, go get him, Mark. And then Lyle Hopper says I always have trouble with the windmill when I golf. So true statement. And then Troy and Kim Bernhardt, I work at Bandon Dunes Golf Resort. I golf for free. So he's clearly up around the Coos Bay area when he says Bandon. That's we're racing there August 6th with their normal show up there, and that's the weekend my wife goes. All of our friends come in from Washington, all that, and we have a big weekend. So
nice.
That's definitely looking forward to. If y'all ever have a chance to make it out to Coos Bay for a race, you will not be disappointed at that facility. Can't say enough stuff about it. Yes, it's out in the middle of nowhere, but dude, at 9 o'clock at night, it's 65 degrees, a little moisture in the air, never any dust. The track will take every ounce of horsepower you can put down. It'll take every bit of it. It's a great place to go race. So can't say enough stuff about Coos Bay. So anyway, Mark, I know you said your dad got you into racing. Did your dad race all of his life, or can you tell us some background on your dad?
My dad, I believe my dad started racing in 1966 or 67. He was born and raised in San Francisco, lived on the avenues. Used to tow his race car over the Bay Bridge all the time to go to Petaluma, Antioch, Merced. He loved racing. And I mean, he got to race with, I raced with a lot of great guys, drivers, but he got to race with legends and people that, they're just, it's different now. It's different now than it was back then. Back then it was just all open motors. Now we got the crate motors. There's nothing like a big horsepower thumper motor in a car. It seems to go any way you want it to go.
Yep. Well, Tom Kleiman says Mark's a true guy. So there you go. And I don't know Tom Kleiman's, but anyway, sorry if I don't know you. I don't take it personal. I'll meet you eventually. I promise.
Yeah.
So
Kleiman's family are good people.
Yeah. So I want to ask you a question. You being an engine builder. So we're going to delve off into some philosophical parts of racing. So I want to get your true thoughts. And this is where we're calling on Mark's expertise. What are your thoughts on the crate motor versus an open motor?
It's a tricky question. The crate motors, my first crate motor, we got 88 races out of it.
Right.
And we had a lot of races on that thing. Open motors, you can run a lot of races on it, but you gotta, you got the luxury of taking an oil pan off or pulling the intake off of it. You can't do that with the crate motors. So you got to take it to somebody that can do it. So kind of like the engine builder guys, you kind of take them out of the loop when it comes to the crate motor stuff. But like I was saying before, an open motor is just something about an open motor, man. You hear that thing thumping and grunting coming off the corner. There's no other feeling like it.
Don Martin, blasphemy, not knowing any Kleiman's. Great family. I understand that, Don, and I agree with that. I know the name very much so. I definitely want to meet all the racers out here, and I try my best. I go through the pits and meet everybody. If you see me at the racetrack, I talk to everybody. Sorry, I talk all the time, but that's just me. So, and then Troy and Kim Bernhardt, I was the scorer at Shasta Raceway Park when Rick Faith was the promoter there. He is the current promoter of Petaluma. Great guy. Absolutely. I can't say enough about Rick. Rick's been a huge supporter of the Pro Stock Series too. So I'll always have something nice to say about Rick as well. I understand the logic in the reasoning of the crate motor. Crate motor is supposed to lower the cost, level the playing field, whatever.
Well, it was supposed to do that, but now a crate motor, I think a 602 crate motor now is $6,200.
By the time you
602. No, that's just a distributor wires, and there's no front pulleys on it. There's nothing on it. You get a water pump, you get a water pump, and you get the crank pulley. That's it, or you get the dampener. That's it. So $6,200 that's a lot of money for. It's supposed to be a budget class and budget racers and this and that, but I got my first one. I got was $4,200.
If you call what's their names up there in Nebraska, Friesen,
mm-hmm.
You get a 602 crate from them ready to go in your car. It's I'm sure it's 11,000 now because it was 9,800, and with the cost of going up, I'm sure it's 11,000 now.
Is that a 602 or 604?
602, 604s are about 14 now, from what I understand. So, to me, I talked to a Mark Garner about a motor for my Pro Stock. I talked to Lyle Hopper for a motor for my Pro Stock. Way more horsepower than I could drive because I'm not a great driver yet anyway. So we're not even going to get into that discussion. It's half.
Mm-hmm. How
is that lower in the cost of racing when you've got a 380, 400 horsepower motor, or you can get a 600 to 650 horsepower motor? To me, it's counterproductive. I'm not criticizing because I've never run one. I hear the same thing. Oh, they're great motors there, whatever. I just don't see how that dictates or how that translates.
It's to each his own, whatever anybody wants to run. I mean, I think Fred Ryland's got an open motor in his car now in a sport mod. I think he's got a mid-state machine motor. I think him and Scott Foster both do, that I know of. But Fred likes it. He's fast with it. I think Chase Alves had one too in that Arizona mod tour. Some of the guys like them. I don't know. I've never ran one in my sport mod. It's always been a crate motor. We dabbled in the idea of building an open motor for the sport mod, but then you go from a 4-barrel, you go to a 2-barrel carburetor. And I think the chip rule this year for the sport mods is 6,800, or it was, I don't know. I think it's 6,800 now. So it's what anybody wants to run. I mean, it's their choice. I mean, at the end of the day, as long as you're out there racing and having a good time, I don't think it really matters unless you're chasing that state championship or regional championship, or, it's a busy weekend. I mean, it's a busy week. It's a busy season of racing if you got to keep tearing down a motor or run a crate motor. I mean, it's 10 different ways.
Willie Purdy, hi, I'm a 13-year-old autistic kid. Well, thank you for watching, William. I'm glad you do it. I hope you enjoy what we're talking about. So definitely enjoy everybody that tunes in and listens. So now I'm going to go down a different avenue, because when you see all the Facebook posts and things about racing, everybody's talking about the cost of racing going up, So bring in, and I'm just asking because I haven't ran a crate motor, haven't been around very many of them. I know the ones that run in the few Pro Stocks that have them, they're equally as competitive as the open motors. I'm not going to dispute that point, and it never will. Now, when we take a look at the cost of a new modified, and I don't know what you paid for your sport mod, don't need to get into it, but to get a nice new rolling chassis from one of the major chassis builders, you're into about 30 grand, unless you do the work yourself. I mean, you can get
it kind of depends. I mean, you're right with that, but like, say somebody has a GRT already and they want to buy a new chassis, they can take a lot of the stuff off of the old car and put on a new car. Some things like my car, the front suspension was different than my 2013 GRT. So we had to get new front suspension for it. Just upgraded and updated stuff.
So, okay. So now you bring the motors. In reality, they're supposed to be within 20 horsepower. I mean, that's just the window that they're targeting for.
Mm-hmm.
We know you can get one that's got an extra 40 horsepower, or you can get one that's down 20 horsepower, just on the way they're built or tuned or whatever. It is what it is. So as an outsider in that class watching, it appears to me that the crate motors have actually increased the overall cost of racing, because now you're having to go buy that ultra low friction part or that extra low friction whatever. So you're having to buy those high dollar parts to find that tenth of a second over this guy next door that's got the exact same equipment. So as an outsider, do you think I'm wrong in following that logic?
No, not at all. Not at all. I mean, that's just, it's a big game is what it is. It's just a big game in the racing community. I mean, so you have a nice aluminum wheel. I'm going to go get an aluminum wheel. Hopefully it's a little bit lighter than yours. It's just who can do this and who can do that. And that's just that's how it's always been. I mean, back in the 80s, I mean, you put a good motor together and you're gonna be fast. And they didn't have they had good technology back then, but they didn't have not even near what they have now on these cars. And it's a big game changer, especially nowadays.
Well, and I think it's funny because we can talk about the crate motors, but then you had Steve Hendren that's always talking about the old claim rules back when he built motors in Antioch. It would put little notes in the oil pan for everybody that would claim his motors and stuff like that, which we're not going to repeat what he says, but if you want to find out, he put nice little notes to everybody that would claim their motors. So
I've seen them. I've seen cars that I was gonna claim before, and they put a shit box in there, and I get to on the bottom of the pan. Hope you like this grenade, and yeah, it's just the way it is. That was the way it was back then. I mean, you didn't want to do it, but just it leveled out the playing field, and kind of a bad way to do it.
Well, and I think that's kind of what they wanted to do with the crate motor, but now I think that they've ended up shooting themselves in the foot. Mm-hmm. And you have guys, had to be careful how I word this because I may piss off some people on this, but that's all right. I think it's interesting that you have guys that were running mods and they said, I can't afford to run a mod, so I'm going to go down and run the sport mods. So let's change the rules to the sport mods so where they mirror the A mods. So now we have to spend the same money to run a sport mod. Then they want to step down to the next class and change the rules to go back to it. So they keep doing that. And William Purdy asked, do you know the car driver, Lewis Hamilton? No, I don't know. I know the name, but I do not know him. I think he drives the F1 car, if I'm not mistaken. But you see all this stuff and the Troy crate cost versus open. we already covered that. Yeah. But it's just kind of funny because it always seems like money always seems to be the object in all of this stuff and where you go. And I laugh when Kenny Wallace talks about it. He says, run the class you can afford to run. That's plain and simple. And I wish I had answers. So what are your answers to what you could do to help?
You're not going to help it. It's always going to be the same thing. There's always going to be that one person with more money, or there's going to be that one person that doesn't have a lot of money, but he's got great talent. It works in different ways. And it's not, it used to be back in the day, whoever had, well, I'm not even going to say that. Back in the day, it was, you built the best motor you could and you hoped it went all year long. If you're fortunate enough to have another motor, then that's what you did. Or Steve Hendren, he had his dad build his motors. And I think Steve was building them too, but his dad was awesome. I mean, built some great motors for a lot of cars, not just Steve's car. I mean, he built motors for a lot of people.
Yeah. Well, and Lyle Hopper put on there, Hogue runs a crate killer from time to time in his A mod, but still runs a crate a lot.
Yep.
I know a lot of people in the A mods that kind of alternate between them, and I think it has a lot to do with track size where they run it. I know that the guy that's helping me, he's probably listening tonight with the Pro Stock. He's in his mindset, and I trust him because he's got a lot more racing experience in it. That he thinks that a big bore short stroke is the way to go. You talk to Lyle, there's ways you could change that to where it's not. And I don't know what the right answer is. And I know you as an engine builder probably get asked this 10 times a week at least, and you've said this 1,000 times. There is no right or wrong combination. I don't think there is.
There's not. You can, I mean, I think there's guys that run 327s. I know Keeney New had a 327. He was faster than heck. My dad ran 327s back in the day. It's what they had. They didn't have to go all these aftermarket blocks and stuff like that. There was junkyard stuff and do a valve job and put a set of heads on a motor and go run it. And if it broke, it broke. You'd get another one. Yeah. Jerry Bartlett's perfect for that because he goes to his pick and pull and gets his hunk of junk out of there. He always says, and it's a preference. I mean, there's so many different combinations to motors that you can go any direction with any kind of with a 350, with a 400. I mean, there's just a lot of combinations you can go with.
Well, I'm going to tell you, as a guy that doesn't have a lot of laps and a lot of experience, the 383 I got plenty. I don't know any other combinations. I've never driven anything but a 383 and a 305. So there you go. There's what I know.
The car will go as fast as you send it. So, learn and have fun with it. That's what you can do.
Yeah. And Tom Steidel says all for a reason. Yeah. That's why we're having this discussion. I like to get everybody's opinion on it. And I know Mike's got, I know Mark's got a pocket full of opinions. That's why I'm bringing him into this fold to talk about it. So I sent my motor down to Lyle to have him take a look at it, and I didn't have it timed right. We had it timed at 0-0, so instead of having it 32 degrees advanced, so he's like, "You made me look like a rocket scientist. You got 50 horsepower just by me setting the timing right." So
exactly.
So, well, and you don't know, and that's the one thing I've learned in since I've started with her. You don't even know what you don't know, and I hate to say that because you learn something every week. I don't care.
I learn stuff every day. I mean, I got probably one of the best bosses in the world that just knows so much about everything, and he's a good dude. Dave Rebello is just he's a good dude. He's in it for the right reasons. He's a solid guy, and he's been doing it for a long time. He started out of his garage and moved forward from there. And he knows a lot about, I mean, our bread and butter is the Nissan stuff. I mean, we build a shit ton of motors for the Nissan, for the race car, the SCCA. Troy Ermish is one of our drivers. I mean, he's got the 510 outlets out of Tracy. Troy's won just about everything he's driven. I mean, from the late models at Stockton to winning national championships, winning the runoffs, going to Texas Motor Speedway and beating all the cars with his 510. He's got a GT car, and he's fat. He rolled it a while ago, like a month or two ago. He rolled it in a practice session, and they went back, fixed everything, had to replace a halo bar, and he went out and he won the runoffs, and he won the national title, and it was awesome. I mean, to see stuff that we're doing that's all over the world. I mean, we're sending stuff, overseas, to Canada, to Australia. We got a lot of stuff that's all over this country that we build, and we take pride in what we do.
Yeah. Joshua Johnson says, "Hi, Mark." Says, "Love you, man." And then Dave Spindell's calling me out. Are we going to see it in Stockton? Dave, you're going to see the car this year is all I'm going to tell you. I'm not going to make any excuses, but my last 3 months have been buried under between driving a truck, doing this, and starting that streaming channel. I made it through all this pandemic and had one Zoom meeting. And in the last 3 months, we've had 1 to 5 a week. And it's, man, I can't even begin to tell y'all what we've had to do to get this done. I know Stephen Blakesley's been, I can't say enough about that dude. He's helped build a website. He's helped launch all this stuff. I'll give you an example. Wednesday, we were on the phone with, we were doing a Zoom call with Vimeo, was setting all his website up. Apple called us because we're going to have the Apple app. So I had to get off the Zoom call with them, talk to them. Then they wanted to talk to Stephen. So me and Stephen were in a conference call while we were in a Zoom call at the same time, going over all this stuff set up with apps. And then on top of it, everybody's seen us talk to that Ed Renzi, the guy that was the CEO of McDonald's. He called me. So it's like, I got to let y'all all go on this one because I got to answer this phone call. Because if you know him and what he can do for you, it's like you answer that phone call. So it's like, dude, that was all going on in an hour window. And it's like, man, and that's how it's been since, I want to say the end of November. That's kind of how it's been this whole time. So, but yes, you will see the car out this year, Dave Spindell. I just don't know where we're going to debut it at. Number one, to work on it, you got to be home. So, Dave Spindell, blah, blah, blah. You're doing amazing trends, my friend. Thank you. Exactly. I just want to let you know I'm not making excuses. I just got my hand in about 5,000 cookie jars. So, Rob Waldrich says, you're never going to get rich racing, but the people you meet is worth it. It's all worth it. It's called family. You know, Rob, and I got to tell you, we had a gentleman on from Australia the last show. That statement, I thought, what he just said, you've got a guy in Australia that's never told me the same thing with all of their racing. They go there because it's the family atmosphere in the pits, and I don't care if you're in Antioch, California, or Charlotte, North Carolina, or Grays Harbor. that's what we're all into racing about. I love going to the racetrack and bullshitting with everybody, seeing everybody. To me, I haven't won a race yet, so I can't say what it's like to win a race. I really want to. I've led my first laps the last time I was out in the car. It was awesome, but hey, the stuff in the pits afterwards and getting to hang out with everybody and your family being there with, to me, that's more worth winning a race. But I can't say that because I never won one. So I may have a different opinion if I ever get one. So, but I'm going to speak from my personal experience. So what are your thoughts on it, Mark?
Winning's fun. Winning's always good. But it's not just about winning all the time. I mean, you're gonna piss people off on the track. You're gonna get into them, and at the end of the night, we all got to go to work. We all got to go home, and we all go to work on Monday. I mean, that's part of life. That's what we do. And whether you're best friends or your enemies, you still do the same thing. You take care of your family, and you race and have a good time. And if you get into somebody, you get into somebody. And I've cleaned a couple of cars out, and I've got cleaned out, and yep. It is what it is. I mean, you're not happy about it. No, you're never happy when you wreck your car, but it's just a weird situation. And like I say, you're going to have good friends on the track, and you're going to have great friends in the pits, and you're going to have enemies in the pits. You're going to have people that don't like you in the pits, but you know what? Shit happens. It's not going to affect me. I mean, if we're good, we're good. If we're not, then, oh, well, I'm still going to come and race. I'm still going to drive my race car, and I'm going to drive it like I stole the damn thing. Yeah.
So I got to drop another one in here real quick. Jay Bryant at Jay's Mobile Welding. Can't say enough good stuff about this dude. Here we'll.
Thank you, Jay Bryant of Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication, for all you do to support the Tri-State Pro Stock Series and myself. Jay is the title sponsor this year for the Tri-State Pro Stock Series. Jay owns a welding and fabrication business in Sacramento, California, can do all kinds of welding. If you need some welding repairs done on your car at the track, he usually has a welder available in his track. He also provides sheet metal to racers, so if you need any of these services, contact Jay at Jay's Mobile Welding and Fabrication.
And I haven't got a commercial made up, but I have to give a shout out to a new sponsor we've got. It's Stone Motorsports. They got pit skylights. They've got some really amazing lights that mount onto your trailer. I think they're 43,000 lumens. They'll light it up like it's the 4th of July in your pits. I guarantee if you can't see with those on, you're blind and need glasses. Amazing services. Look them up online. See their stuff. If you order them, make sure you mention the show or me. But like I said, I can't say enough stuff about Vaughn. That's another person that we met through Race Logic Chassis Schools. Same with Steve Hendren, Kate Dillon, all of those people we've met through Race Logic Chassis and Brian Littleton, Dave Hammond from Hammond Motorsports, all those guys. So great people over there at Race Logic Chassis Schools. If you get a chance to attend one of their schools, hit that as well. I can't tell you how much you'll learn in that. First 30 minutes of class, Kelly Shryack told me I didn't know shit about putting a car together. And there wasn't nothing right or fine. So it's like, okay, I guess better listen now because we didn't do anything right. So, and Lyle came and looked at the car and confirmed that. So, see, there we go. I had a second opinion. So, and then Mike Slaney says we bring 4 generations into the pits at every race, priceless moments. I agree. That's another guy that does a ton for the sport too. Is Mike Slaney. And I'm telling you, Mark does a lot of stuff. He's being very humble on here and kind of quiet for him. He does a lot of stuff to promote the sport. So don't let him fool you for a second either on here, because he loves racing just as much as we all do. So I can't thank Mark enough for his time tonight. So any final thoughts on the race season coming up, Mark, and what you expect to see?
I want to go out and have a good time, take my family out there, enjoy it. There's nothing better than at the end of the night, just having a cold beer with your buddies and just relaxing, having fun, talking about the night. Whether you win or whether you lose or you finish 5th, it's just, as long as we can put the car on the trailer in one piece and have a good night, we're pretty happy with that. And just the people that help me is just unreal.
Well, and if you can't put it on in one piece, there's always a group that'll help you get it on the trailer at the end of the night too. So been there, done that. So, that's all that stuff. And I know Mark was showing me he's having a Modelo tonight there.
Absolutely.
So
that's cool, Modelo.
I got to drive once we get back on the roads, or once we get done here tonight. But no, I know you said you're going to be in Stockton on February 5th with a late model. Tell us a little bit about that adventure.
I've never driven. Actually, I take that back. I drove my dad's around the pits a couple times. Never got to race one. Last year, Mike Hines Mike Slaney set the deal up for me. Mike's actually, let me go back a little bit. Sean DeForest called me and said, "Hey, Mike needs a driver. You want to drive a late model?" I'm like, "Yeah, that'd be killer." He goes, "All right." And he's giving me pointers how to drive it. And, he goes, just hold on. That's all you got to do is hold on. And I didn't really believe him. And I tried it one lap and I was like, holy cow, that's badass. So the first night, I think we finished third in the heat race and we were running second and I just got flat tired. That car kicked my butt. And so I think we finished fourth, which was fun. I think there was 5 or 6 cars. So it didn't finish dead last, but we didn't wreck the car the first time. Second time we go out and run it, did a couple changes to it and it was fast. And I went in turn 1 and 2, started front row outside of the heat race. And I went in and it swapped ends. And I told Mike, I said, I don't know how the hell this just happened, but we broke some stuff and we wiped out the whole left front. I think I got into the 15 car. I think it's brown, I believe. Felt bad, didn't tear him up too bad, but I don't like crashing people. I don't like tearing my stuff up. And, I'm fortunate that Mike let me drive his car and had an absolute blast in it. And, if we can drive it some more, then cool. If we can't, then I'm still going to help Mike Slaney support that series. I think it's a good thing to have. And I know there's a lot of late models around here. I think it'd be a good thing to come out and try. Pull them out of the weeds. Yep. Let's run them.
Well, I watched you the one night at Antioch running and I'm going to tell you from a spectator watching on my phone, I was not there in person. Mark was having a phenomenal run running up through traffic. Like I said, I think he got up into second.
Yeah.
It looked like he got a little overexcited in the corner and you just kind of lost it all on your own and then had to start back and then came all the way back again. And it's like, man, not only did he do it once, but then he had to do it a second time. So
that was fun. I had a good time with that. That was pretty good for trying to learn how to drive that kind of a car with a big tire and a big motor and going from a crate motor to an 8-inch tire to big old balloons and some ponies under the hood. It was fun.
I drove with one of those. We went up. Scott Lentz talked me into rolling up to Medford. We got rained down in Wairika. He said, well, let's drive to Medford and tag the back end of the late model field. Oh, gee, that sounds like a great plan. Let's go do this. So we hauled ass up to Medford. Oh, well, you got to put a D55 tire on the right rear to do that. He called ahead and they said, you got to have a D55 on the right rear. So I'm thinking, oh, no, we're not going to get it done. Well, one of the D's family gave us a D55 to put on the right rear. You know it's a bad sign when you have to pull your body out so the tire will fit underneath it. It's like, okay, you're not made for this. So we go out to start in the back of the main event. Dude, I spun the car out trying to catch up to him to start the race. This is really not going good. So we finally get lined up, and it's like, all right, we're not going to tear anybody up. We're just going to stay out of the way. They dropped the green flag. Well, shit, we passed 3 cars right off the bat. I was like, what the hell just happened? I'm in a pro stock. We're not supposed to do that. It's like, okay, so we keep going, make about 2 laps, roll into the corner, and rolled that right rear. Pulled it completely off the bead. In that, the wheel weighed probably 400 pounds with all the dirt that impacted inside there. I mean, it planted it so hard. But you're talking about the balloon tires. I'm never going to forget that. Those tires, they feel like they're squishing all the time. I don't know if you experienced that, but it's a amazingly weird sensation on those tires.
Yes, it is.
Don Martin loved that things went full circle, and Mark ended up driving. For Mike Haynes, the racing community can be pretty cool. Somebody's picking on you. Jeff Brown says, Mark, your double chin is showing. So,
my beard.
Yeah. It's Don Martin. I remember that night. Scott did pretty good, as I recall, top 5. So, Lentz, he's talking about that night. But I want to say Lentz finished second that night in all that in his pro stock. And I know Jeffrey Hudson won one of the late model events in Rocky Nash's late model over there too when they let him run. And that's crazy to me. I never would have expected that. But I mean, I should clarify that we go and take all of our weight off the cars. I don't know how much we weigh with my new car. When I had it before, it'd weigh about 2,580 pounds with no weight on it. So absolutely, we're in the ballpark. So, and Lance always had a car that was fast and would handle well. So it didn't matter what he did. He's going to do well. Daniel Brown, Mark needs to buy one of Slaney's cars and run with us this year. Tom's,
I appreciate that.
Not even going to try to pronounce it. Well, I'm going to try, but I'm going to get it wrong. Tom Steidel, I think, is asked Mike Slaney sometime about running a limited late model in Chowchilla with full late models. So I don't think there's that much difference. Our Pro Stocks run over there at Marysville with the late models and do well. And they talk about the Tri-State Pro Stock Series, and I wasn't around racing at this time frame, so I'm just going by what Lyle Hopper and Jerry Stewart and many of these people have said. They said our Pro Stocks right now remind us of the late models in the late 80s, early 90s before it got way too expensive to run a late model.
Absolutely.
And that's why everybody likes this class. They look like late models, but they're more like the old style late models. So you may know more about this than I do, but it's kind of cool that everybody says that. And then Tom Steidel said,
a lot of similarities in those cars. I mean, from back in the 80s, 90s to what we have now. A lot of the cars that we have now that we're running were the cars back from those days. I mean, the car that I have, my car was Steve Hendren's Pacific Coast Regional car, I believe. I'd have to check with Chester Niss on that one, but that's, I mean, if you scratch the roll bar, it's still his blue car that he had, and it's fast. It won a lot of races with that thing.
Don Martin, somebody needs to sponsor Mark a ride. I think he'd do pretty well. Matt Kyle just joined in. Yeah, absolutely races with us. Says many are old late models. He drives to 55 for the Calhoun brothers, and I know it's an old late model car. So I mean, and I'm just glad so many people enjoy what we're doing with the Tri-State Pro Stocks. That was just kind of we didn't know where it was going to go when we started, and it's just slowly building a lot of momentum up. And I have a ball going to the racetrack. So Lyle Hopper says my car's old enough to vote. So yeah, I think his car is like 30 something years old. So yeah.
Lyle's watching, right?
Yeah, he's on there. Lyle Hopper. Yeah, that's.
Lyle's a good guy. I had a lot of good conversations with Lyle. Hung out with him in Vegas this year with Randy Miller and Robert Miller. And Robert Miller was one of my favorite drivers back in the day. I had a handful. I mean, obviously I love my dad. My dad was awesome. Robert Miller, Gene Millard, Marvin Wilson, Bobby Hogue, Steve Hendren. I mean, Bobby Scott, Ray Morgan. I mean, all these guys that I grew up with and watching them race with my dad. Dave Bird, Ed Sands. I mean, a lot of names from back then. I mean, Dick King. There's so many.
Ernie Urban was from right over in your area too.
Yep.
We talked about that, and he was telling me when I talked to him, what surprised me is the first 15 minutes, just like was spent talking about Tony Nassetti. They were friends long before Ernie Urban moved back east, and I would love to sit around and get stories out of Tony about his old days, because he knows everybody that is involved in racing. You got to catch Tony before he has to hit about his fourth or fifth beer, because then after that it gets hard to focus on what he's saying. So I'm not saying that.
I think it gets better after that. That's when all the real shit talking comes out.
Yeah, but you have to keep up with it. It's kind of like it goes 900 miles a minute. And I know Mark Ternofsky from MTFX Graphics was in here tonight. He's doing a lot of stuff with this year. I can't say enough of good stuff about him as well. Don Martin says also we need a Larry DeMintz memorial at Antioch, either for pro stocks or late models.
Mm-hmm.
We talked about that off air. We're not going to go any further with that. We don't. It's not worth getting in that discussion. So, but anyway,
for another time.
Yeah, and we got a big shout out to Lyle Hopper at Winning Attitude Motorsports. You hear us talking about him. Another huge sponsor for the Tri-State Pro Stock Series. Can't say enough good stuff about him. We also didn't talk about Robert Baker, a VIP medical concierge. If you get a chance to go and see Robert Baker at any of the races that you're at this year, take advantage. Drivers, take advantage of his IV services that he offers. I cannot tell you enough good stuff about his IV hydration stuff. I got the one in Bakersfield that he puts anti-inflammatories in. I am telling you, I have back pain because I had back surgery almost all the time. He gave me that, dude. Nothing for 2 days. Amazing stuff. Cannot say enough stuff for it. It helps with your mental acuity, your focus, all the stuff that you lose during all the heat in the summer. This amazing product. Can't tell you enough. Takes your insurance, can put it on your insurance, all that stuff. So if you get a chance this summer, check out Robert Baker, VIP Medical Concierge. He'll be available at many of the tracks that we're at this year too. So Fred, hey, how you doing? Thank you for tuning in. Lloyd Walkup says he loves this. And I think we'll end it right here. I think that's an hour into it. So hang tight, Mark.